To achieve New York's ambitious climate goals, slashing building emissions is seen as absolutely crucial, and efforts are ramping up to transform the Big Apple's skyscrapers into models of sustainability. William Denslow reports from New York.
Roughly 1 million buildings make up New York's iconic skyline. Between them, they account for around 70% of the city's carbon emissions. 3 years ago, a law was passed to change that. Starting in 2024, certain buildings larger than 25,000 square feet will be penalised if they miss emission targets.
You're going to have to come in under a certain threshold in terms of your building's emissions by all the building systems operated that relates to how much carbon emissions that building's produced, or you're going to have to pay a fine.
The goal is to cut emissions by 40% compared to 2005 levels by the end of the decade. Even stricter emission limits come into effect in 2030, with a goal of reducing the city's building emissions by 80% come 2050.
The city is helping with financing those projects, and then they're providing incentives to make those projects happen, which I think is really crucial in order to meet these pretty ambitious goals.
New York State's climate goals go slightly further, pushing for an 85% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by the middle of the century. And some iconic buildings are already making some big changes.
She's over 90 years old, but the Empire State Building has had a facelift. The installation of LED lights and highly insulated windows has cut emissions by 50%. The building has a goal of net zero emissions by 2030.
Officials are encouraging real estate firms across the state to take similar action and retrofit older, inefficient buildings that were initially built to rely on fossil fuels. New York's launched the Empire State Challenge, tasking companies to develop highly repeatable solutions to cut emissions. The state's providing $50 million in funding for firms to test innovative carbon emission reducing strategies, including replacing inefficient heating systems and improving building efficiency through retrofits.
Efforts like the Empire Building Challenge are buildings of excellence. These competitions that focus on demonstrating novel approaches, I think are really helpful to the broader marketplace to illustrate what can be done and to spur that competitive instinct.
660 Fifth Avenue is one of the buildings being retrofitted under the Empire State Challenge, with major changes being made both inside and out.
And what's so key about the Empire Building Challenge is that it's very transparent. So every partner of the Empire Building Challenge has committed to share the results of their projects and basically share the lessons learned that can be scaled across other similar properties in the portfolio and even other similar properties in other markets.
The challenge aims to bring novel emission-reducing solutions to 5.6 million square feet of high-rise buildings across New York. These innovative ideas can then be scaled up for wider adoption to help the state hit its emission targets. William Denslow, CNA, New York.